It's time for the Jim and Terry Show.
Did you have trouble finding a place to park, Jim?
It's crowded in here, isn't it?
Lots of people.
People
Drive-thru's busy. Tim Hortons, that Brazilian enterprise.
We're old too.
Yeah, I've got my Brazilian. No, I don't want to say that.
Look at that young chick with the walker.
Well, it's a relative thing, isn't it?
I guess.
All right, we're going to talk about electrifying the grid. Electrifying? Well, the grid is already electric, isn't it? So it's not that. It's how we get the electricity. Are we going to burn coal? Are we going to burn gasoline, natural gas? Are we going to use steam? Are we going to use solar or cobalt lithium batteries?
Cobalt. Oh, sounds like a wrestler.
All right. I'm a fan
cobalt.
of getting an electric car. The sooner I get one, the better off we will all be. I will be.
Just don't go anywhere long distance for now in the winter.
Yeah, we'll talk about the distance later. Let's talk about electrifying the car industry and personal transport. Pros and cons.
Well, number one, I understand they're developing a new battery that'll take a car on one charge 1,000 kilometers. That's good. Really good.
Because?
Well, a couple of reasons. One is you're going to lose 350 kilometers of that in the winter. Batteries don't like winter. So until they conquer that situation. I don't know why they're not developing more other than I think it's very expensive. My dad talked like literally 45 years ago. There's an ability to transmit electricity. That would be the perfect thing to me, is all
Isn't
the cars
that
tune in and you just don't need a battery.
The Tesla experiment was to transmit that, and he got... They
Well,
went
yeah,
from
because-
wireless to wired.
Yeah, well, what he wanted to do is be able to electrify everywhere, everyone, and the big companies realized they weren't going to make any money on that. So I think that was part of the deal to squash that. Squelch.
I think part of that was, just to go back into history a bit, was the people who owned the mines, which controlled the minerals, which controlled copper, which was the main conduit for electrical
There you go.
current.
Follow the money.
Follow the money. Follow who owns the mines, who extracts it. Yeah, okay.
That's why someone like Musk, the way in which he does business, whether you like the guy or not, he's forging a way because he does it himself. He avoids having to get sort of permission to be able to develop the biggest rocket in the world or an electric car that actually works. He tries to get as far away from all the rules. Do you realize he doesn't have a patent on I don't know about his cars, but his rocket ships, they're not patented. He says patent are for weaklings.
If you're afraid of competition.
You're afraid of competition. He has no patents. So you could. That's why China's building the exact rocket.
That's the funniest
Actually,
thing.
it's 1 meter bigger.
Just a silly millimeter longer,
yeah,
101s.
yeah.
Do you remember the smoking commercial, the cigarettes?
Yeah,
the
yeah.
101s,
Yeah,
silly millimeter longer. Yeah, I remember the jingles from these things. That'll get us off on a whole another episode
well,
of
we tend to
what Jim and Terry Show memories do you have? What jingle can you recite?
Yes.
Okay.
And where we were going with that was I think we were also going to nail it down to the fact that in order to get the cobalt, which is most batteries are good batteries,
Yes.
it's mined, and it's a very dangerous mine, and it's mined by a lot of people making very, very little money.
Yeah, we saw that photograph. I think we shared that one of the open pit extraction. Manual labor.
Well, I saw way before this controversy people climbing up mountains to get sulfur from the volcanoes and everything, sulfur, and hauling it down. Same idea. It's horrible for you. And they'd haul hundreds of pounds on their back, up and down all day.
Oh, what about going in the caves to get the bat crap for
crap?
fertilizer?
Yeah.
Yeah, so people do dangerous jobs all the time, but this one is cobalt is particularly toxic. And
Yeah, but here's the other side of that, all right? And I think it's horrible. I think it's horrible using slave labor and whatever. But let's say that you gathered those thousands, those minions who are working that dangerous job, who are obviously working that dangerous job because there's no other job and they need the money. Now you say to them, we'll put it a vote to you. Do you want to continue on in this dangerous situation, or are we closing down? They'd say continue on in this dangerous situation.
Yes, but they don't know any other lifestyle and no
That's
other
right,
choices.
but they still wouldn't. So if the company goes, how do they make their living? How do they make money?
That's not a good argument.
Well,
I
I'm not
don't
saying
think.
it's a good argument. I'm saying I wonder about it's not a good argument. It's not a humane argument. Number one, there's all kinds of areas you can go down in that as well. Are they aware of how dangerous it is? You and me know the dangers.
I don't think the company or the government, because we're talking about Congo here, would inform anyone.
There
of
you go.
Any
There
concerns.
you go. Now, if you legitimately sat them down and said, this is going to shorten your life by 20 years, or all of the number of things that could happen. Now, do you still want to go and do that job?
Or let's give you respirators, masks, and zoot suit
Or
to
that,
zip it all up and
or
make
that.
you impervious to whatever you're going to be breathing down
Well,
there.
I mean, no, if they can make it safe, why not?
Well, that's what I mean. Well, you know why not? Because the business model is the less is better.
That's right.
Lower your costs.
That's right. But my
Okay.
concern is you take a business away, you take it away. And now you and me both know that ain't going to happen because they're going to make money some way or another. So you have to force those companies, which means it's going to force the cost of cars, batteries, flashlights, everything else to skyrocket. And we okay with that? Yeah, you and me are.
No, I think competition is going to keep the price pretty stable, and I think people are looking at alternatives, which is how we got into the 1,000-mile breakthrough. The battery technology is changing, and I think there was an article I submitted to you to look at that said it takes about 5 breakthroughs in technology to get it from concept to the public through production.
Wow.
And I think that's coming. In Elon Musk's case in the rocket ship, it was the Raptor engine design. It was the choice of the fuel. It was going to stainless steel and using computerized welding tools. All of these things are innovations. And that's making his dream come true. And it'll come true for electric vehicles too. We just don't know how close we are, but we know we must get rid of fossil fuels.
Yes, there's a couple of factors also that factor in. But I worked for a company and I sold a product that's famous. I would come to you as a customer with the brand new breakthrough, and it was years behind. It wasn't brand new breakthrough. It was all they were going to release. I wasn't lying, but they had the modifications to that particular brand way in advance. All of them you could have got right now, but they didn't want you to have them right now because they want you to buy another one in 2 years. Same with the phones.
Yeah, planned
I mean, a lot of the
obsolescence.
stuff, the obsolescence that's in my phone, they've had probably what they're dishing out now is the top quality of everything. They've had that for years, but they want to get rid of those phones, that technology, and milk it. And that's what we're going to always find. How much is enough? You got the billionaire who needs $400 billion. That's just the way it really is, and there's no really getting around it. Some guy, as well as I do, there are people that have zero conscience on who's going to die. I mean, they're going to make decisions that a lot of people are going to die. So the
miners in the Congo, it's okay because the goal is to extract cobalt, which has got a greater good for more people than the lives of the people.
And you just keep telling yourselves that. It's like the cartel, when they just killed people. They killed 2 of those 4 Americans mistakenly thinking they were drug dealers. They weren't. You think the guys that killed those people care even for a minute? I mean, they just don't. And there's other people that might be in power that can start a war or end a war, don't care about the tens of thousands of people, hundreds of thousands of people who will die, lose their lives, and go through pure hell, and they still sip the champagne on the yacht. They just don't care. And that's the world we're living in.
How do we change it?
Well, I don't think we will. And you say, oh, you're a pessimistic. Not really. I'm a realistic person. I know evil prevails. If they can't get it by prolonging the development of a flying car or a rocket, if they can't develop it that way, somebody will get it some other way. There's a reason people get $400 billion as opposed to just $1 billion. How much is enough? And I'm not knocking Musk. I'm not knocking Bezos.
No.
I'm just saying some people, and I'm not saying them, but some people, they don't think at all about who's going to lose their life in this process.
Yeah. So our attention to the EV battery dispute is, I guess, is all about the cost of current technology and the harm versus the good. And fortunately, we are seeing breakthrough technologies where cobalt may not need to be the binding agent to produce the current in a lithium-ion battery. That's just the technology of today. I think part of the breakthrough is going to be, I think I told you somebody's developing salt-based as a binder to create.
Wouldn't this be wonderful? But those people working the mines for cobalt are going to be out of a job.
I think we will always find employment somehow. What did they do before cobalt was discovered?
I
as
don't know.
Yeah. So that you got to answer that question.
I think I agree with you. I definitely don't want progress to stop for the sake of a battery. Technologies change. I mean, now there's companies that make whole living, employs thousands of people that make robots that replaced thousands of people. I have no problem with it at all.
And AI is going to replace you and
Well,
I.
that's what they want to do. Good luck. Does AI grow old? Do they get old too?
I don't think they do. They're perpetually
Well,
forever young.
Every now and then I ask
Forever young.
Siri, and then she goes, one moment.
She pauses and hesitates.
I'm on it.
I can't quite get it right now.
I found this. It sounds like she's getting hold of me.
Well, I wonder what her voice will sound like as she ages. Or maybe they give older person voices to older person's smartphones.
Wouldn't that be interesting?
Yes.
That is good.
Is that ageism?
Yeah.
Or is that being responsive?
I can see her saying,
Are you my son? Are you my son?
no. I just want to
Stay
ask-
tuned for the Jim and Terry Show, where nothing is out of bounds for a coffee and a discussion. Bye-bye for
Yay.
now.
Bye-bye.